Did you really think I could take a road trip from Orlando, Florida to York, Pennsylvania without thrifting? Good. Me either. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you everything that I found today because, well, it's not a little bit of stuff. Now, in case this is your first time on my channel, why yes indeed, my name is Stephanie Canada. No, this isn't my normal setup, but that is actually my name. And even though I'm in Pennsylvania, I'm still not quite in Canada. Yes, this is a running joke on my channel and we just sort of go with it. Now, what has brought me up to York is I am here for a family thing, and so I figured along the way I would see if I could try to pay for my trip via thrifting and my reselling business. Now, I primarily sell vintage patterns, fabrics, and clothing, which, thankfully, in most of the stores as you go along the eastern coast are chock full of at least one of those things. That's the vintage clothing. It's really hard to find vintage patterns anymore inside Goodwill. So I figured I would just go ahead, turn the camera on, and literally everything else, and go ahead and show you what I found. Oh, also, if you do hear some noises in the background, know that I cannot actually close myself into any room, so there might be ambient noises in the background. So if there's a phone ringing or random slammings of doors, it's probably not in your house, it's probably in here. So let's dive in to the first stop. Now, on the very first day of driving, we left Orlando, Florida right around 4 p.m. and did not arrive to our hotel until midnight. So did I thrift on the first day? No, I did not. However, day 2 is a different discussion. So day 2 took us from just south of Columbia, South Carolina, and took us all the way up to Roanoke, Virginia. And I know that doesn't sound like terribly far, but I was driving by myself with my 6-year-old, and despite the legalities here in the US, 6-year-olds still cannot drive. And so the very first stop was actually a Goodwill located in Columbia, South Carolina. And while I didn't get a whole lot of B-roll inside the store, I did find a few things to bring home with me. The first is actually this crazy, fun, ridiculous Tiffany loungewear robe. It is sort of like a rainbow plaid. It is a size small. But there was just something super sweet about its crazy sort of plaid, also with the giant collar. And this one is actually a size small, but it does have a little bit of room. So like maybe if you're a medium or if you are like an extra small and you just really want a whole lot of room, this is gonna be really super cute. And because this was in our robe section, this one cost me $3.50. And I think I'm gonna try and just give it a quick little wash, cut off some of these like rando strings that are randomly popped up. And I figure I'll probably price this right around $20 because it's really clean, all the snaps are good, and there's just a couple loose threads in the embroidery. So nothing that's integral to the actual garment's design. And if you do actually enjoy any of these and would like to buy them from me before I list them, because I can guarantee you by the time I launch this video, they are not listed yet, because I do that when I get home, and I won't be home by Friday. Do go ahead and shoot me an email at likethenorthcountry@gmail.com. And I'm absolutely willing to work with you if you just want it as is and ship it off to you, because that is less than I have to take home. And the other number that I found while I was in this Goodwill was this really beautiful rayon tier dress. This one is by Ultimate. It is a size medium. This one's from the 90s, so it's gonna have a little bit more room. So it's gonna have that blousier feel. But I loved all these tiers that you can see through here. And it is rayon, and from what I can tell, I don't see any damage with this whatsoever. This one I did pay $6.50 for, which is about what I pay for in Florida for dresses. And I figure I'll go ahead and list this one at $35 just because it's literally ready to wear and it's so soft and the rayon is so nice. And the last thing that I bought for reselling purposes is going to be the most ridiculous mug I have found in quite some time. You asked for a half cup of coffee. It's literally a half cup of coffee. Now, would I have normally bought this if it just had this? It's possible. However, then you turn it around and realize that it's a tacky Florida tourist mug from like the 80s. And I was like, oh, dang it. Yeah, I need to get this. So this little cutie was 94 cents. And I'm still on the fence if I'm going to sell it or not, but if I do, I'll probably list it for right around $12, just because of the comic value. Now, we did make a few other stops that day, including one right near Virginia Tech. Enjoy this super flattering freeze frame while I correct myself. We were actually near Catawba University in North Carolina, not Virginia Tech. And, well, it's a Goodwill, sure. It all looked fine, but there really wasn't anything there that screamed, "Take me home!" Because it's right next to Virginia Tech, and really the main thing that I was seeing was rows and rows and rows of, like, fancy dresses. Fancy. So I didn't really find any good clothing there. However, I saw the prettiest vintage sewing machine. It had clearly been like removed from its table because you could see all the underbits where it used to be. It was the most beautiful Brother Prestige machine. However, it definitely looked like it had seen some use in not a good way. So I did opt to go ahead and leave it there. They only had it priced for right at $20, but so if someone's near Virginia Tech and the Goodwill that I will put right here, because I don't remember the address, but I'll look it up for you, go grab yourself a really cute blue Brother Prestige machine because it was super cute. I have no idea if it worked, but it was cute. Now on day 3, we woke up at our hotel in Roanoke, Virginia, and decided to go ahead and start thrifting a little bit before we got on the road. And by golly, am I glad we did. So our very first stop was at a Goodwill called the Hollins Goodwill because we were next to the Hollins College. And I did find 3 things that needed to come home with me and a pile of books for my child because we like to read in our house. Now the very first thing that just literally jumped off the rack at me was this crazy sweater. And this is from the Woolrich Company. It's sort of one of those like tacky everyday sweaters, but it's more like in pastel blues with tiny little geese situation. It's all really nice and supple. There's no stains that I can see. So I figured for $4.59 I would go ahead and pick this up because it has the potential to be a pretty fun fall sweater, or possibly somebody could just want it for next spring, or could just love geese so much that they need it year round, which is also an option. And this one's definitely a little newer because of the tag, the way it feels. It's definitely like been produced relatively recently, or just never got worn. Not sure. Either way, it's a size large, so it should be able to fit a pretty decent range of sizes. Sizes. Next up in this Goodwill, we went to the dress section, which was a little lackluster. I was hoping for a little more, because in Columbia I had seen quite a few really amazing things that were really damaged, so I didn't actually pick them up, but I was hoping for a little more. But then I found this guy. It's a cat jumper. That's right. There's little cat paws and little yarn things. Right at the high waist, because it's one of those like on-pier waist jumper dresses. And then, more kitties! They're just so cute. And of course, we can't forget that bat cat. Ooh yeah.
No, we don't gnaw on our kitty.
This one is by Christopher and Banks. It's labeled as a medium. I'm guessing this is probably 2000s. Just because of the way the labels all look. I mean, it could possibly be earlier. I still haven't done a whole lot of research on it, but I did find one other that sold for right around $23. So I figure mine's in really good shape, and I think it was a better color than like the tan that was there. So I'm probably just gonna go ahead and list this one for $25. And then some other things that really jumped out at me while we were there were some of the most amazing grandma furniture, and I say that because I swear my grandmother had this chair. So here's just a little bit of enjoyment of the furniture that I saw while I was there. And last but not least, I can't really leave behind a good tripod, even a halfway decent tripod. So I did go ahead and get the tripod that this light is currently standing on while I was there too. They had it for $2.99, which is great because my other tripod that I got for $2.50, it has sand, it's a pain in the butt, and it doesn't actually stay level anymore. So this one is a welcome upgrade. And then once we had finished up at that Goodwill, we actually had waited long enough to wait for the Salvation Army to open up at 10. So we swung over there too. And yes. So my husband is a big fan of Hawaiian shirts, but it's really hard to find him decent Hawaiian shirts that fit him. So what I actually saw, the very first thing I picked up while I was there was this kind of fun black and tan silk Hawaiian shirt from Paradise Coves. It is an extra large, so Hopefully it fit him because it's a really nice silk. Like, it's that good soft kind. Soft silk. And this one I paid $2.99 for, and like I said, it'll be personal use for my husband. And then if he doesn't like it or want to wear it, then I will pop it on to one of my other shops because we don't need random Hawaiian shirts that he doesn't want to wear in the house. My husband definitely didn't enjoy it, so I'm gonna go ahead and list this one for $14.95. And then as we were wandering around, we went over to the women's section, and the very first thing that caught my eye were these pair of pants. These are from Bill Blass in probably the late 90s, early 2000s. But the reason I like them, one, they are that super high-waisted look, and they're like a dark navy, almost black, but they have blue roses on them all the way around. And they really look like they're in pretty great shape. No real tears or scuffs that I can see. And the nice thing is they're at least a size 14 with an inseam of 31. So they should be a decent size to be able to send on to a new home. How much did they pay for these? I don't remember. I paid $3.99 for these. And I will probably list these right at $28. Just because they aren't super old, but they are in really good shape. And the next thing that I found actually almost right next to it is this 1990s sort of a rayon dress. It's got buttons up the front and then just some slight pleating. It's really quite cute. It's by Erica Petite Dress, and it is a petite extra large, which is why I ended up picking it up. Because it's rare that I can find extra large things in vintage, and even more so like petite sizes. So that way, in case you are a shorter, extra large person, you will still be able to fit this. And never fear, friends. They do have shoulder pads, but if you want to remove them, it's literally a seam ripper away. And no, I don't have my seam ripper. That was my invisible seam ripper there for ya. And this dress I did end up paying $3.99 for as well, and I will list it for $28. And after we had tootled through that quick little like jeans / random dress section, we went over to the craft section. I'm so happy when I see patterns. I really am. Now this isn't the most expensive of patterns, and it's not the most vintage. I'm pretty sure this is from the 80s or the early 90s. But this is an ornament pattern for Christmas things, so you can make the little tree toppers with the horns, or you can make any of these ornaments right through here. And it's just a really nice transfer pattern, and it doesn't look like it got wet at all, so I will go ahead and probably list this guy right around $8.95 on my website. And I did pay 49 cents for that one. And right below the lovely patterns was fabric. Not much, but some. There was a bag of like quilting scraps that I didn't really feel like picking up because none of them looked terribly old. But this thing stuck out. And I don't 100% know why, but it's just sort of crazy looking, and I sort of love it. And I had no idea until this moment right now that it's actually by Wamsutter. So there you go. Had no idea. But it sort of feels like a slubby cotton, possibly linen blend. But I figured it was just sort of crazy enough to kind of either try and make a crazy caftan with it, because it does feel like it would breathe relatively well, or just sell it. I haven't decided yet. But either way, this one definitely needs a little bit of a soak before I attempt any of those things. And I did pick it up for $3.99. If I do end up selling this, I'll probably sell it for right around $10 a yard. Just because it has a really nice drape to it. That's assuming that I can get off a little bit of the aging that I see on this piece. If I can't, then I take the price down from there. And as we rounded the corner from the fabric, the very last thing that caught my eye was this little number right here. I was sort of hoping it was a little older than it was, but then I saw, oh, it just fell. Of course it did. The tag. So this cutie is a new with tag dress by Tahiti Surf Club. I love the flowers. I love the fact that it's a large, and it's literally crispy. Like somebody bought this and then never wore it, not once. I figured for $3.99, I saw one recently that sold on eBay for right around $25, and so I figure the pre-owned goes for $25. I'll just go ahead and list mine for $30 and see what happens. And I'm not gonna be jealous at all that I can't wear this because it's really freaking pretty.
I'm so happy and not at all jealous.
Now we thrifted a little bit more in Virginia. One, because it was our final day, and so we just didn't have to worry about it quite as much. And 2, because, well, it was the day before 4th of July and everyone was traveling, so the roads were packed. So whenever we would come upon a pretty long pause caused by an accident, looky-loos, rubberneckers, whatever you want to call them, we would just go ahead and pull off the side of the road and find a thrift store instead. So this time we ended up in Harrisonburg, Virginia. And I was really concerned that I was going to find absolutely nothing while I was there, because we were really just stopping for traffic. That's the only reason we had stopped. Well, we also tried to go to an antique store that was closed, but that's neither here nor there. But we were going around, and of course my child finds something that she wants, because that's pretty standard for the course. You know how in life sometimes you don't quite have the ability as a parent to tell your child that maybe the thing that they want isn't exactly appropriate for them? Anybody else? No, just me. Okay, great. Because, y'all, it's cute, right? It's a unicorn hood, and it's got little gemstones on it. So what 6-year-old doesn't want something that has unicorns with gemstones on it? I mean, certainly mine does. She loves unicorns. Everything unicorns she wants. Has a cute little tie with stars on the end. And I'm going, this looks like an adult size, right? Like, this hood looks adult sized. It's by Leg Avenue. I'm just going to go ahead and cut out the tag and just let my child play with it so that we don't have to think about that. But hey, she has a new unicorn thing to play with. At least it was only $1. Now at this point, I'm very concerned that after our $1 purchase, that's the only thing I'm going to find. So we're just trolling through the men's section to see if we can find my husband any other shirts. And I find this instead. Because no, this will not fit him. This amazing contraption is a 1970s, early 80s shirt. It is by Ultima. It is 100% polyester, long sleeve, but it has the coolest, like, it's got those good pointed collars, and it also has one of the best prints that I've seen on a shirt in quite some time. Like, I haven't seen a print this cool, I think, since I found the unicorn polyester shirt. But I just sort of loved it, and it really doesn't look like there's anything to do except maybe give it a quick wash. Like, there's a little discoloration right by the cuffs, but it's literally so minor that you don't even notice. I did pay $4.95 for this one, and I haven't done the research yet, but I'm going to go ahead and look online. I'm thinking I'm going to charge probably about $30 for this one because of just the crazy cool print. And the reason I wouldn't go much higher is probably because it's polyester. So that wrapped up our quick little pit stop there, and we kept heading on north. And this time we actually got all the way up to Mechanicsburg before we stopped again. Now I will say that Mechanicsburg was a little bit hit or miss, but I did find this really cute robe. And unlike the very first robe that I found, Goodwill has this one labeled as a 1X, but it looks at least like I would probably say like a large, but it's a really nice yellow and white seersucker with trim, yellow snaps, and the cutest little sunflower pocket. I just love it. And that one I did pay $2.50 for. And there's nothing really wrong with it that I can see, so I just probably need to give it a quick wash, and then I'll probably list this one for right around $25. I don't like to go higher than like the mid-20s for house dresses unless it's by a brand name that everyone knows, and CW Classics ain't that brand. And really that's all the stuff that I got for reselling at that stop. The other thing I got was a sports bra that's dubious as whether it'll fit me, and my child some new pajamas. Hello, Goodwill bag. So personal use stuff as well, because it's just what happens when you go in thrift stores. And of course, I've saved the absolute best for last. If you know me, you know I enjoy Facebook Marketplace to find goodies to resell. Well, while I was at our lovely Roanoke Hotel, I changed my location to being in York, PA, set it to a 30-mile radius, and then went a-trolling for vintage fabrics. I'm really glad I did. So I find a listing where there was this photo of 7 different fabrics. All it just said was vintage fabrics, and it was labeled for $10 and marked down to $5. That's my kind of price point, friends. So I messaged the seller, because I'm assuming at this point that it's not actually there, it's gone. When I was at the first rest stop of the day, the seller actually had messaged me and said that yes, indeed, it was still available. So myself got right on that and started typing furiously and letting her know when I could hopefully be there. So I had to go to her house, and she warned me that she had a steep driveway. What she didn't warn me about were the chickens that were running around.
Run.
Now, no chicken was harmed in the making of this film. However, there was one that was about ready to guard that driveway. But he did eventually let me in, and I let her know I was there, and I bought them from her, and she let me know that these were all her grandmother's fabrics, and I love that. That's exactly what I want to hear. So I said thank you and went on our happy little way. So here's what I got. I love this blue and yellow cluster fabric. It's definitely cotton. It could possibly have some poly. I've done no burn tests on any of this at this point, but that's my guess. I'm also assuming there's probably, I don't know, there could be 3 yards here. Maybe a little more. But it's really a nice fabric. There's nothing on the selvage as far as company names go. And this is one of those that if I do go ahead and list it, this is the one I'm sort of the most attached to, so I don't know if I'm going to sell this one yet, but if I do, it'll probably be for right around $14 a yard. Once I actually give it a wash, because you don't want to do that. Next up is this super soft seersucker. It is, I can't really tell. I want to say it's a white with a light blue flower on it. But it is a super soft seersucker, probably from the 80s, maybe a little earlier. But I love the little flowers, and I like how the blue sort of goes with the white. This one definitely has some age lines, though, so I am going to have to soak this one when I get home. Otherwise, I'm not sure what I'll be able to charge for this one. But if it does come clean, I'll probably list this guy right at $15 a yard. Next up is probably our newest piece of fabric that I found, and it is this little shooting stars. It's got the white border here along the side, but it doesn't have all those little dots along here, so I'm guessing this is either 80s or 90s cotton. It is very appropriate for the time being because it's currently July 5th, but it's just very nice. There's not a lot of this here. I'm guessing, because there's some cuts in it, maybe like 1.5 yards. But I do really like it. It's a VIP by Cranston, so it's going to hold up really nicely over time. Next up, we have a fantastic fall colored print with the original label. So what this label says is save at Grant's known value. This was 39 cents a yard, and she bought 5 1/8 yard of it for a whole whopping $2. $2, friends. It's also got just a little bit of the gilding and some of this delicate work on here. I just lost words. And it's just a really great, fantastic, even print for a good summer or possibly early fall dress. This is my other favorite. I still haven't decided if I'm letting this one go or if this is going to become something in my wardrobe. However, if I do let it go, I'll probably do it for the entire piece. I won't cut this one down for yardage because once you get over 3 yards, it's really hard to find continuous yardage. So I would probably sell this entire piece for $48. Next up is a gloriously, slightly moody, amazing fabric. It is white and black flowers with little green stems. There wasn't a visible selvage maker on this one either, but I do think that this is probably one of the older ones because this one feels much more late 50s, early 60s. But this one, when I list it, will be at $16 a yard because it is just so stunning, and the flowers are probably about 2.5 inches tall. And the second to best is going to be this little guy right here. Look at the little bunnies. They're so cute. So we've got little pink bunnies, little rattles, and the bunnies facing all different directions. It's so sweet, y'all. This is probably a 60s fabric, but oh my goodness. And I feel like there's a lot of this yardage only because it's folded up weirdly. So probably 3, maybe a little more yards than that. But oh, it's just the most precious thing. And this one I would probably list right around $18 a yard. The bunnies are right around 1 inch, so they're going to be really good for the smaller humans, and you could make lots of different outfits for them. But I just love this piece. It's so good. And finally, the pièce de résistance, the border print. I got me a poinsettia border print. Now this is probably a 60s border print, possibly late 50s. but I do just sort of love the poinsettia flowers and how it's a single border print. It's a 36-inch width, and I'm guessing, because this is all I got, so I'm gonna say, probably 2.5 yards. So you can make a thinner skirt. So this one, if it was more yardage, I would keep it for myself, but because there's not at least 4 yards, I'll list with this one on my website for $20 a yard, unless somebody wants it before then, and then let me know. And now, let's do some math. My cost of goods for this trip was $62.27, and with a total profit of $675.50, once you take away the cost of goods, I'm left with $625.19. Then we have to think of fees, which is around 12% on average. So that is $75.02, which leaves me with a total of $550.17. Then you always have to set aside money for taxes, which is going to be 25%, and that is $137.54. And I know I'm not including things like gas and hotels, but for this leg, my total take home is going to be $412.63, assuming I can get everything clean and ready to go. Well, folks, that is all I got. That's everything that I found as I drove from Orlando, Florida to York, Pennsylvania. It just goes to show you that even when you're on a road trip, you can actually go ahead and take a quick moment off, stretch your legs, and find some things for yourself and or others if you're flipping as you go. And if you did enjoy this lovely thrifting video, which I haven't done one since October, that wasn't just patterns, make sure you're clicking that like button so that I know, so I can do more of these. Being sure to click subscribe so that you can watch future videos from me, and turning on that little bell notification so that maybe YouTube will tell you the minute I launch a new video. And I do hope that you all stay beautiful, friends. We'll see y'all next time. Hello from sunny Pennsylvania. Right? Sure. No. And while doing that, nope. Now day 2 took us, how do I want to do this? Now day 2 took us from just south of Columbia. Now day 2 took us just from south of Columbia all the way up to Roanoke, not Reston, Roanoke. Now the first, look at the camera. I decided to change my location in Facebook Marketplace to York or the surrounding 30-mile-an-hour radius. 30-mile radius. When I was at the first rest stop that we stopped at, when I was at the very first rest stop of the day after I'd sent that, the buyer, that moment of panic, where you don't remember if you hit record even though you definitely did and you've been staring at the red light the entire time. Good job, Stephanie. I need to be done now.